Listen, I was going to open up this video with this question. Do you not believe that a person has the right to use physical force to get you out of their face once you ask them to leave you alone? Once you come into their space and you're taunting and harassing them and they ask you to leave them alone, you don't. Do you not believe they have a right to use physical force? That is how I was going to open this video, but I changed my mind. I'll be back. Hey folks, thank you for returning. I appreciate you guys. New listeners, you're welcome as well. People who are haters, just natural born haters, stick around, you might learn something. Let's go on with this. I know what I said initially has nothing to do with freedom of speech. You know, saying that if someone is in your space and you keep saying, listen, will you just back, get off me, leave me alone, you know, do that person who is resisting you being in their space have a right to just bam. You know, you're going to have a lot of people say, oh my God, why must you resort to violence? Just because they're does not give you a right to put your hands on them. Why do I think that when they come with that, don't resort to violence? I don't advocate violence. Why do I always get that is directly targeting us? Like, black folks, look, we just want you to just stand there and just let us harass you and say the most demeaning, wicked things we can say to you and possibly do to you, and we do not want you to resist. Why does it feel like that's what they're saying? But what they hide from the public is they do violence and commit violence all day, every day. Have you ever went to an all-white bar? Have you ever been to an all-white party? You see how they get down? You be like, what the hell happened to civilization? I thought you guys were civilized. But let me get on with this video. It's not going to be that long because I'm constantly hearing about freedom of speech, and you know where it's coming from. And I'm being very direct. It's coming mainly from white America. Freedom of speech. Oh my God. It's like majority of our people don't say that. You know why? These laws and amendments really don't apply to us, even though they pretend like it does. Like, what's the case? The young man who in Texas, the case that's happening now, today the 4th, he has an all-white jury. You're not going to sit here and tell me that that is not about race. Those are not his peers. Although his peers are high schoolers, though that all-white jury does not make up his peers. Let's get back on the freedom of speech. I know my people are not the main people who are yelling and screaming and crying about freedom of speech, because we know that our rights are always impeded against. So I'm going to talk to you people. You think James Madison drafted the amendment and Bill of Rights for freedom of speech for you to go around and harass whoever you deem, whether it's a black man, woman, child, cat, dog, any other group in this earth or on this earth? You think you have a right to do that? You think you have a right to step up to someone who is minding their own business? You think you have a right to approach them and just verbally assault them? No, you don't. I mean, you could do everything, whatever you feel you have a free will to do. But you also will deal with some harsh consequences. That's facts. So James Madison didn't draft that for you to do that. He didn't draft that document First Amendment for you to run your ass around town, getting into people's faces and harassing them verbally. He didn't do it for that. And I don't know why these government officials don't stress that more. That's why I tell you the American politicians ain't worth 2 cents. Because they gaslight you guys. They gaslight us. They gaslight every group and person in this country. And you guys sit back like parrots and let them do it. Until you catch yourself in a situation and they leave you on your own. Ain't nobody running to rescue Chud. He entertained you guys. He spoke for a lot of you guys who are too terrified to do it. Because you know you're going to run into that one black man or woman who's not going to care about who you are. They're not going to care about all that. And whatever consequences they have to face, they're going to face them. And yes, these people have control. They're just tired of you. You know how you guys go in the back there and your little chats and your sites that you create to put us down because you're so obsessed with us. It's just sickening. I don't know any black American who creates sites and websites to particularly talk about you. We don't do that. There's too much time and energy. And we have so much more to do in life than to sit back and base our time and put our minds and energy on speaking against you, no matter how raggedy and immoral you guys can be. But you guys celebrated Chud just like you celebrate any imbecile who comes out with a camera and a microphone to speak down on us because you're so cowardice. You're terrified of doing it yourself. So you celebrate the people who do it, like Charlie Kirk. You guys worship these people because you have wet dreams thinking about doing and saying the things they did and said to us. But you know, in reality, just like back in the days of slavery, there were some slaves who really had enough of y'all, and they showed you. They showed you. I'm not going to go into details. I have videos on this channel that expressly detail what they did when they had enough of you. So it's not that we have low impulse control. No, we don't. I believe you do. I really do. You want me to name all the successful towns you guys just destroyed because of your low impulse control? The black men and women that you put up in trees because of your low impulse control? The children you threw them swamps because of your low impulse control? The children, let's come back today. The schools and high schools and elementary schools that get pow-powed up because of your low impulse control. Some women who are terrified to walk up and down the street in your community because of your low impulse control. There is actually a video of a white woman who says she feels uncomfortable around a bunch of conservative men.
So this is probably going to be very controversial. I feel more safe in a space shared with black men than I feel very unsafe in a space shared by white men. Now, before y'all get your panties in a wad and get all pissed off about this, when I am surrounded by a bunch of white men, I'm constantly looking around. I have no fear in a room full of black men. The reason why, when I go to the movies, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the movie theater. When I go to my church, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the church. When I go to the mall, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the mall. When I go to my children's school, I don't worry that a black man's gonna the school. Black men will target 1 or 2 or 3 individuals. White men will go schools, movie theaters, churches, your grocery store.
There are some white women who have come out and said they feel more comfortable around majority black Americans than they do you. Because they know how you get when you have a little too much liquid joy. How you act in your white trailer trash parks. How you act in your expensive $1 million homes when you think nobody is around. So let's get into this video. I said it wasn't going to be that long, but oh well. The purpose, let's talk about the root of freedom of speech. The root of freedom of speech is democratic self-governance. Framers like John Madison, your forefathers you love to talk about, but you don't respect the laws and constitution that they put in place, argue that because the American government was fallible, you know what fallible means, right? And the people were sovereign, the public needed the right to criticize officials and hold them accountable without fear of retribution. You know how you guys can be very vindictive, and I know some would say, God, you're generalizing. Oh my God. Okay, well, show me something different. Show me. Don't tell me, show me. Because what my people saw, what my grandparents saw, my parents saw, what my great-great-grandparents saw, and so on and so forth, they never saw fairness from you guys. They saw the vindictiveness when they dared to stand up for themselves. So show me something different. We're in 2026 and I'm still seeing the same thing. It's just different. Because you know damn well, you know what would happen. You march your ass to a majority black community. So you have other ways of doing it. Let's go on. The First Amendment, which, among other things, protects an American's right to freedom of speech, was added to the Constitution as part of the Bill of Rights to strengthen an individual's civil liberties against governmental interference. It is integral to a healthy democracy and has been historically valued by Americans and protected by American courts. That is why they came out with the First Amendment. It was to protect people who spoke openly against the government because of their messy, hypocritical ways. And yes, it's expanded. Freedom of speech expanded. It went past protecting you when you spoke against the government, but you guys abuse it. You guys abuse it. You say you have so much respect and regards for your forefathers, but you abuse it. You abuse these laws and the Constitution that they built. You go around talking you say vulgarous things, and then you come back and run and hide like a child. But that's my freedom of speech. That's my freedom of speech. It wasn't for that purpose. You're so quick to say, go educate yourself. Go educate yourself. Well, if you educated yourself, you would know that not everything is protected under freedom of speech, especially if it provokes, especially if it harasses, especially if it targets, especially if it creates a disturbance like a riot, or it causes somebody to go out and do what you guys normally do, commit violence. So stop hiding and running from that fact. Just like the man that Chud harassed. The man went to court with his wife to deal with a child custody situation. They didn't expound on what the situation was about. That's his personal business. So he was sitting at the court, minding his own business, when this barbaric clown fool walked up to him and started harassing him. The man said he has PTSD, so I'm assuming he's a veteran. And Chud walked up to the wrong person. Shot 7 bullets. The judge sat in court yesterday and said,
I think it's pretty much agreed that there was confrontation here, but even in its best light, it's a situation where an individual had a gun and a fist fight.
He already knew he didn't have no hands. He knew that word brings out a fury in black Americans that's been here since slavery and is in the soil waiting to come up. So that's why he carried a gun, because he knew that, well, you guys say nigga all the time. Nigga. They say nigga. What's up, my nigga? They don't say, what's up, nigger? You chimp, you baboon, you monkey, you ape, nigger. They don't say that. They don't say things like that. Black person walk up to a group and say that, it's a done deal. You can't even play like that. I don't like the way my people say nigga. I can't stand it. But I will not condemn them over your ass. Because nigger carried a lot of hatred, a lot of fear, a lot of double standards, a lot of unfairness, a lot of injustices. Man, you would have people in Congress, they just let the word roll off their tongues in Congress while they own slaves. That word nigger comes with a lot of vileness. They said it while they were graping our women. They said it while they were graping men. They said it while they were graping children. They said it while they were chopping off our people's limbs. They said it when they caught our people when they was trying to run away from the hell. They said it. And they meant it. And they showed how they felt when they said it. That's why we look at you like, you better be glad. I'm surprised Chud didn't pick up the phone and had a 911 in one hand and his pow pow in the other. Let's continue. Background on the First Amendment. The protection of speech, especially political speech, has been a central tenet to American democratic government since its founding, due in part to Thomas Jefferson and James Madison's opposition to English laws prohibiting speech critical to their monarch government, and then later the Federalist-sponsored Alien and Sedition Acts adopted in the early years of the American Republic. It says President Adams' political opposition to Sedition Act 1798 made it a crime to write, print, utter, or publish any false, scandalous, and malicious writing or writings against the government of the United States. When in 1801, the American people voted out President Adams and the Federalist Party in favor of Thomas Jefferson, a Democratic Republican. I don't understand how that was possible. The election was in part seen as the American people's repudiation of these acts 5 in support of the civil liberties espoused under the First Amendment. The First Amendment, adopted as part of the Bill of Rights in 1791, reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievance. So, rather than criminalize speech, the First Amendment was aimed at protecting speech so the public could develop better informed opinions. The First Amendment operates on the premise that in the marketplace or on the battleground of opinions, the people will be able to distinguish truth from error, and that the sounder principles and measures will prevail. That was the purpose of freedom of speech. It wasn't for you to run your ass around showing how ignorant you are, how uncouth, how uncivilized you are. It wasn't for that. Now, let me show a few clips of some people speaking on this First Amendment of chud, which actually surprised me because these people are known haters. Known haters. I don't even give them the time of day. It's like the people who look like me, who speak so horrific about my people. It's like, how do you sleep at night? But you got to realize, when people sell themselves out to this establishment, they have to take an oath to basically disregard their conscience. Those of us who sit back and be like, wow, how the hell, you raccoon, how do you sit here and speak in such a way about us? Because they have no conscience. They can't have a conscience to do what they do. Because if they had a conscience, they wouldn't be able to sleep. They would have bottles and bottles and bottles of that liquid joy wherever they go, because their conscience will be bothering them. But check these clips out of these people speaking against Chud, the clown, and how they feel about him saying it was his freedom of speech. And then after that, I'm just going to close it up because I just had enough of hearing about the freedom of speech, freedom of speech, freedom of... That's it. That was the only thing you was born in this world, was for freedom of speech to be protected, so you can go around and sound like an idiot and verbally curse people because your words are life. Everything you say out of your mouth, you're going to be made accountable for it now and when you leave this earth. You sure will. So anybody who sit there and see that they're just words, no, they're more than words. They're life and death. And those words that you send out trying to harm people, trying to slash them down, trying to cut them off at the knees, trying to demean them, trying to psychologically, mentally destroy them, they come back on you and your family.
He screwed up royally, and now he is done. First of all, they threw the book at this guy. He's got a record, so there's going to be no leniency. And then he's got all these tweets. He's got a mountain of tweets saying, I'm inevitably going to shoot somebody. I'm inevitably going to kill one of you. How's that going to play in front of the judge? Not so funny now, huh?
Where's the unity? I thought that when one failed, they all fail. I mean, what was Chud saying that was any different than what this guy says? And then when I found out that he's a whole version, I completely what is he, a part of the incel community? What's so sad about it is they don't even understand that the way they talk about women is the reason why women don't want to be with them.
Defenders. He says just a word is just a word. It's not just a word. Well, it's just a word, but it's got a lot of history. But it's an offensive word, right? Let's say I go into easily the most horrible word in any language. But let's say I go into some outdoor concert and it's a country music concert. It's a number of white people. And I take my black ass in there and I start saying offensive things to white men's white wives. And then the husband gets mad. He said something. And then she said something. I said, you know what? You're fat. I don't want you anyway. Yeah. And let's say they throw a punch at me. And then I back up, pull up my gun and shoot. Yeah. You think I'm justified in that? Mm-hmm. It's just words. It's my freedom of speech. Do you think I'm justified when I provoke and instigated the entire encounter?
It's a slippery slope for our society, too. What's going to stop a black man from going out there flipping the script? Say, hey, your wife looks like an in-lover.
What's crazy is there have been clips circulating where these two guys advocated for, white people being able to say the N-word. Now it's like, oh, no, that's one of the worst words in the history. And it's like, what? The things that I've heard you say about calling black people oversensitive and this, that, and when it comes to that word, now it's like they've turned a new leaf in life. Like when the video first started, the clip first started, one of them looked like they, feel a little self-conscious, like they have regrets for advocating for people like Chud. See, there are consequences for your actions. I still don't trust them. I still don't like them. I still don't believe that they actually love their black parents, because when you talk about black people in general, you're speaking on yourself and your family. I don't give a damn what you think. Check this out.
I cannot stand people that spend their time, effort, and energy to go around and live stream confronting people and being disrespectful nut jobs and antagonizing people to get confrontation. And when they get the confrontation, they want to pull a gun and shoot people and do all this old crazy stuff. You cannot go out and instigate a conflict, and then when you start losing a conflict, you want to try to pull a gun. This is self-defense 101. Self-defense is when somebody's attacking you and you feel like your life is in serious threat of bodily injury or death, then you can use deadly force. But there's a force continuum. You can only use equal amount of force as somebody's, presenting to you. Now, in self-defense, if you did not create this situation and you defend yourself, you're good. But if you went out and created a situation, you cannot then claim self-defense once a person retaliates against you. This fool, he looks stupid. But what he's doing is a person that is broken and damaged and that needs attention, they go out and they create environments where they get assaulted so they can be a martyr and they can raise money or they can go viral. Listen, young people, all of that is going to lead you to where he ended up.
It's something wrong with a country that rewards you for speaking against your own people. Did you guys ever think about it like that? Like, there's something deplorable about this country that actually rewards you for speaking against your people. Look at every single Black American or melanated immigrant who speaks against Black Americans. Look at their platforms. Look how much attention and donations and recognitions they get when they speak against us. That is deplorable. That is vile. That is wicked. This is absolutely strange to hear these people who have built huge platforms off of being anti-Black actually speak against this guy who did anti-Black things. I have heard some of his videos by accident because I thought, I would see the title, see the thumbnail, and be like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting, before I even knew what he was about and what he represented. And then it took me a couple of videos to learn, oh my God, this guy really has it out for people who look like him. And of course I stopped watching them. But yeah, it's just weird. It's like, what, you guys really out there, what's his name? His name, Anton Daniels. You guys like, oh, let's scale it back some. Check this out.
That guy is an obvious racist. I'm not surprised he shot a black man. It was just a matter of time from the look of it. It's disgusting. It's hate speech. I don't think the speech was necessarily illegal, right? Like hate speech is legal, but that doesn't make it okay or right. And he was definitely threatening and menacing in a way that, could arguably have crossed it over, to incitement.
I've never ever heard or seen clips, because I don't watch their material, but I've never ever heard them speak against someone who is supposedly exercising their First Amendment. Remember what I told you, the purpose of freedom of speech, the First Amendment, it was for people who routinely spoke against the government in their messy, crooked, hypocritical ways. And of course, it expands to you being able to say as you choose. But I'm sure James Madison and the other people who helped create that or draft that did not intend for the First Amendment to be used in such a ridiculous, childish, immature, entitled, barbaric, perverted, mentally challenged way. I'm sure they didn't. You know how people, black folks say, oh, our ancestors are rolling in our graves. I'm sure your ancestors are rolling in their graves too. Because they knew why they created that. They were fighting against England, and they were establishing their own boundaries and their rights. Like, look, you're not going to oppress us, suppress us. We're going to be able to say what we want to say against you guys when we want to say it. But anyway, thank you guys who rocked out and listened to this entire video. Thank you for supporting, liking, sharing, commenting, and hyping. Until then, I will see you guys in the next video.